Hello my lovelies, welcome to part 2 of sewing 50s dresses, where I've been sewing the patterns by Gertie Butterick B6590. Last week I was sewing the first dress and I had a little bit of a journey with it in terms of sizing. So as you can see, I have finished the second dress, and before I get into reviewing the pattern and what I think of these dresses, there's a little bit of me sewing and a little bit of a reveal, and at the end I will tell you what I actually think. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you after all of this.
Here's the finished rayon version of the dress, and I've sewn on this Liberty button and sewn in the zip, although it does need a hook and eye at the top. I don't think it looks that great at the top actually, and I think I should have put some kind of interfacing in because the fabric is very lightweight and drapey. You can see how much I've had to take this dress in on the centre back seam, which technically isn't really the way to take something in, but I just wanted to get this made. I've hand stitched the centre front because that was gaping a little bit, whether it was because I'd stretched it or because it was just too big, I don't know, but it sits fine now. I've hand stitched in another waistband just to hide the seams, and that neatens it, and then I've also hand stitched the cuff of the sleeves. I've just turned and turned, given it a press and just done a slip stitch, but I machine stitched the hem. There was far too much fabric and I wanted to get this finished really. The vintage wiggle version is cut out and partly sewn. I've overlocked the edges because I'll be facing this version rather than fully lining the bodice. I've sewn up the skirt and measured it around myself by just placing it around myself. It seems to fit. The next thing is to put in the waistband section, and here it is sewn up so far, and Mildred is modelling it beautifully. I'm really pleased with it. It looks really, really lovely. It looks very genuinely vintage. I've realised at this point, as you can see, that on the other version the button band is facing the other way. It's actually meant to face this way as on the vintage wiggle version, but maybe it doesn't matter. I'm not 100% happy how I've sewn the point in, but it's pretty good and the fit's good. You may know that I have a love-hate relationship with iron-on interfacing, so I thought I'd experiment with a different type of iron-on interfacing, and this one is actually meant for stretch fabrics, but I heard somewhere that you could still use it, so I've done a little experiment and it's absolutely perfect. You don't get that cardboardy, papery effect, so yay to stretch interfacing. I'll be using it from now on, because it just makes the fabric feel like fabric rather than a cardboard box. I've sewn the facing in and done lots of snipping round all the curved edges, but when I turn it through, it's still not 100% perfect, so this is something that I definitely need to work on. And just when I need to start hand sewing the dress, Loki decides to get involved. But I've done most of the sewing once he's moved, and I'm just slip stitching in the inner waistband to hide all the mess. And I've also overlocked, then turned and slip stitched the sleeves. And I've actually hand finished the whole of this dress really, and it looks really neat and lovely. It's just a really beautiful fabric to sew with. And here's the facing. I've just sort of stitched it down where the seams are rather than stitched around the whole of the facing, but I may live to regret that. Et voila! Here's the wearable toile in the rayon challis. It's a lovely soft fabric, very swishy and floaty, but you can see that the fit isn't 100% great, and that button band at the front is sagging a bit, so I'm going to have to remove the button and do it again. And I'm accessorising it with my thrifted find with a little heart clasp and some bingly bangles. And here's my dress of dreams. I couldn't believe how amazing I felt when I put this dress on. I absolutely love it, and I'm going to be wearing it with this new vintage bag and these sunnies for my birthday or any special occasion, which could be every day really, the way this dress makes me feel. It's just the bee's knees.
So this dress that I finished, I really love this dress. It's so comfortable, and although there are still a few fit issues with it, I don't think I'm going to go back into the dress and do that much to it. The only thing is that where I've sewn this button on this mother of pearl button that I got from Liberty London a very, very long time ago, it's, you know, not a good fit across the chest. So I need to sort that out, and I also need to put a little hook and eye on it. It's a little bit big around the waist, but you know, for a comfortable, everyday, dashing about dress, doing a bit of shopping, I think it's really perfect. I really love the print, and I feel very me in it, and I don't know if I really showed off the fact that there are pockets in it. So really fab. I don't mind too much that it was a bit of a faff getting the sizing right on me, but it was my fault in the first place. So I'm really pleased with that one. I'm pleased with that one. I love this one. This is a vintage 50s cotton fabric. It's a cotton sateen, I think. It's very, very soft. It was so beautiful to sew with, and a wiggle dress is a little bit out of my comfort zone. Although I like things fitted, and I don't mind corseting, and I don't mind sort of feeling a bit restricted, things being a bit tight, I feel a little bit, or I have felt a bit self-conscious because I have put on a bit of weight. But I've been immersing myself in Sophia Loren recently, and Jane Mansfield and Diana Dawes, and women who were voluptuous, and I've decided to own it, and I feel so good in this dress. I love it so much. I got the fit right in the end, and the fabric, using this fabric is such a treat. It's not my colour way at all. I mean, this backdrop is perfectly my colours, so I wouldn't necessarily have picked this if it was a new fabric, but because it was an old vintage fabric and in perfect condition, I picked it up. And I am so pleased I took a bit of a chance and made this dress, because I absolutely freaking love it. And I'm just going to own my curves, you know. I'm a little bit plumptious, but, you know, that's fine. I'm happy with it. What I should have done when I did this pattern was I should have referred back to this one, another patterns by Gertie B6453. Literally everyone who likes vintage or Gertie has made this dress, and I did this in an 18, and maybe that's a good tip. I'm going to have to look into this a little bit more, but the sizing, they probably use the same blocks, so I should have just used the same size as this one, because this one is quite a good fit, and I did the full one, which I will be showing you really soon. And the pattern is a really good pattern. It's a really simple to sew pattern, and I definitely see more of these in my future. And I think the wiggle dress, but with the long sleeves, will be really lovely for autumn and winter in maybe some, you know, deep green brocade-y type fabrics, or even if I can find some more vintage but autumnally type colours. And definitely got to make several versions in black, because I know that this is going on. I know there's a lot of loving happening here, but you know, maybe that's fine. Before everything sort of descends and, you know, really gives it into gravity, maybe I just enjoy it for now. I haven't sewn a button onto this. You may see there's a pin here, and I've just done it up with a little brooch that my lovely friend Hula Hannah gave to me. 100 out of 10 for this particular dress. I think it's, you know, when you put something on that you've made, and sometimes you're like, yeah, this is nice, I like this, or sometimes you're a bit disappointed. And then sometimes you put something on and you're like, oh my God, yes, this is the business. So this is the business. And I think I'm going to wear this for my birthday, where I'm going to go and see one of my lovely friends' art exhibitions. And I'm going to wear this, cat eye sunglasses, and the little bag that you saw in the little show and tell. And I'm going to drink Prosecco or Aperol Spritz, or both, and have a very lovely time. So I hope you've enjoyed this sewing journey with me, and that you didn't mind too much that it came in 2 parts. I had a wonderful time making this dress, and if you haven't made it, please do get yourself a copy of the pattern and give it a go, because it's one of the nicest patterns that I've used that isn't mine in a very long time. And thank you, Moa from Scandinavian Abroad, who introduced me to this pattern, because I'd never seen it before, and now I'm really, really happy to have it in my life. I hope that you are keeping safe and well, and not suffering too much with reactions to jabs, etc., and having a lovely time catching up with family and friends, and just getting back into the swing of life. And whatever you're doing, I hope that you're getting a little bit of time to do some lovely sewing. I'll see you next week, when I think I'm going to be showing you some of my recent makes. Any excuse to put this dress on again. Take care, my lovelies. Bye.
If you love sewing and vintage inspired and DIY style, then subscribe and like and share my channel, and come back every week to share my sewing journey with me. It's really wonderful to have you along for the ride.